Hey, Dr. Daren Martin, so excited about episode number 2 of Company Culture Podcast. We've been talking about this for a long time and so excited to have the show finally running. I'm here, of course, with Elise Martin, co-host, co-founder.
I'm excited.
VP
We're going to talk about my favorite subject in the world.
Company Culture Association. I started to say podcast, but that's the name of the show. But the Global Company Culture Association is the sponsor for Company Culture Podcast. So we talked a lot last time about the problem. We threw out a bunch of statistics. We gave all sorts of doom and gloom about the reality of what's going on out there in the world. I mean, it's a global crisis that we are facing that we have to fix. Impact so many people. So this time,
let's talk about how you fix it.
We're going to talk about how you fix it.
Let's get you some solutions.
Get some solutions. So it has been a incredible last couple of weeks. I mean, just the opportunities that have opened up for us. I got to speak to, are you ready for this?
We were honored to address.
We were honored to address and be invited to address the Harvard Business School alumni club. So it was, I mean, you know,
feel fancy
Harvard.
now? Do you feel fancy now?
You know, I've got that, and I haven't worn it yet, but I've got that shirt I bought in Boston last time we were up there. It says "Wicked Smart" on it. So anyway, I should be wearing that for the show. But got to speak to Harvard. I just want to mention and say that a couple people said one of the best speakers we've ever had. And then there was one individual who actually gave me permission to share this, who said the best speaker that we've ever had at the Harvard Business School Club.
So then if you went to Harvard and you would like to, become a member, do it.
Check it out. And then the next week, so that was a small group, very intimate in Dallas. It was awesome. And then we had this incredible invite to do a keynote for Ohio SHRM 2019 conference. Shout out to the great Bonnie Thompson who put that together, invited us. We had Ultimate Software.
I love Bonnie.
That bought copies of all of a company of owners for the attendees, which was big because they were 13 shy of 1,000 people in attendance. So, I mean, we're talking, this was really big stage, right?
Yes.
We've got a great speaking gig coming up. And the reason I'm sharing those is because consistent theme. With what we did with SHRM, and by the way, it was actually on Global Company Culture Day. The first act of business we did as the Global Company Culture Association
September
is
18th.
We registered September as Global Company Culture Month, and we registered September 18th. May have just coincided with the day I'm going to be speaking to SHRM. By the way, I'm a SHRM member. I don't know if you know this.
Yes, I know.
But I joined SHRM. I mean, we're talking about doing some really cool things together. So we just happened to name the day I was doing the keynote for Ohio SHRM purely accidentally as Global Company Culture Day. So that's what you get to do when you're naming days and stuff. But what I talked about at that keynote was the 4 C's of architecting a great company culture.
Give them to me, Daren.
How do you architect a company of owners? How do you create a company where everybody acts like an owner? So we're going to talk about that on the show today. You want to hear that?
I'm
Great
ready.
Snippets?
I'm ready.
Okay. So the first C is you have to call it by the right name.
Right, you have to say chicken is a chicken.
A chicken,
not a
call
cute
a chicken
little
a
fluffy
chicken.
thing covered in feathers. It's a chicken.
I mean, if it's, call it what it is. So there's a great Chinese proverb, beginning of wisdom is calling things by the right name. Yes, by the way, I do know the other versions of that, so don't start sending me nasty emails saying, well, really, it says this.
But we would like your comments
Yeah,
always.
we would love your comments.
Comments, questions, all of that.
So the beginning of wisdom is calling things by the right name. Why does it start there? Because so often in my experience, go into a company and a leader says, oh, we got a great culture here. Oh, it's fantastic. It's really great. And then you get out, as I say, closer to the valve, and you start talking to people out there, that are doing a lot of the work, and they go, are you kidding me? It's awful.
Yep.
Or what's stated is all of these values and I mean, if you look at Enron's values, it was integrity and purpose and give to the community and all. And then basically they just didn't do any of that.
And before you get too far in that, I'd like to add another. So when I got my BA in psychology, we used to say that admitting you have a problem is 9/10 of the cure, right?
Absolutely.
So it's the same thing.
Couldn't agree more.
Same as calling it by the right name.
Alcoholic, right? That was not a confession, by the way. I love somebody's going to take that little clip and post that and say, well, here it is. The
or
CEO,
use it to have you committed.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that's how you start AA, right? You got to you have to start by admitting
that you have a problem.
That
because
I have
that's
a problem.
First step, right?
Step one.
So first step is saying our culture sucks, so let's fix it.
We have a problem.
Right.
So, in fact, the bigger the gap between your stated culture, how you say you work, and how you actually operate, the more dysfunctional the company. So, if you want to know the quality of your culture, look at the level of your employee engagement. If you're bemoaning the fact that, like most companies, you're at 15% employee engagement, 29%, you got a third of the people or less doing the majority of the work, then that tells you the quality of your culture. Because I know beyond the shadow of a doubt, prove this out, when a company has a great culture, people are more engaged. These two are directly proportional. They're directly related, right?
Not just engagement, retention, right?
Retention, people stay.
Retention of the people who left because of the other people left. There's so many things that culture cures.
We played the Stan Richards video, and we were talking about the fact that they have boomerangs, I think he called them, people that go for a bigger, better deal, and they end up coming back because they love the culture.
When I worked at D Magazine, we called them comebackers because they would leave, to go try something new, and they still came back again because they just loved the culture so much.
Which you would have been a comebacker if it weren't for the fact that
the GCCA hired me as the vice president.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we're building what we're building, right? But I was talking to somebody the other day, and one of the cultures I'm just fascinated with because it's such a just basic commodity. It's easy to talk about the Ritz-Carlton having a great company culture, which they do, but people go, yeah, it's a high-paying job, it's luxury, it's this, it's that. In-N-Out Burger has a fantastic culture.
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A has a great culture. Zappos has a great
online shoe selling company.
We mentioned a bunch of these last show, but my friend I was talking to recently said, you know what? I told him, hey, I think In-N-Out Burger has a really great culture, and he said, that's pretty interesting because I got a buddy who works there, and he told me I've got these other opportunities, but I don't want to leave. I love being a part of this company so much. So you got to start by calling it by the right name. Don't shoot the messenger. Don't rage against, the voices of people within the company. They're saying we have a problem. So how do you do that? You get out of the suite and into the street.
Whoa. Did you come up with that all by yourself?
I did come up with that all by myself.
Very nice.
I did come up with that all by myself. Get out there, start talking to people, ask them these core questions.
Start with the receptionist. She knows everything.
The receptionist truly does know everything. But ask several questions. What do we do at this company that you love? What do we do at this company that you hate? What could we do to have a better culture? How would you rate our culture? Are you more likely to stay and invite your friends to be a part of this? By the way, I think that's one of the indicators of a great company culture is if people in the company, not with this position, not with this title, but just people who work there are your best recruiting.
They really are. But
we saw that with Select Medical. One of the people there was telling me I brought my cousin, my mom, my uncle, my great-grandma, my 3-year-old. They all work at Select Medical, not the 3-year-old, but they all work at Select Medical. And I went, how did they find out? Well, because I told them what a great company it is.
Those questions are fantastic, and I often suggest that you to get more honest answers, you put them in a survey, and you can send it out. A lot of people think you're tracking to find out who it is. You could also set up computers in a conference room and have them fill the survey. Filter in and out of the conference room to fill the survey on as they have time.
Because people are always paranoid. You're tracking their
paranoid,
IP address.
And they're afraid to say what they hate, but you need that information.
Well, and unfortunately, sometimes that really is the case. But however you get it, get the information. Get an accurate snapshot. Okay, no filters.
Right.
No filters.
No filters.
Get an accurate snapshot of what's really going on
so
in
we
the
don't
company.
want filters. We just want to make it as blunt as possible.
All right, so we're going to start from there. We're going to say, here's where we are.
Yep.
Okay, here's our baseline.
Yep.
Now, the second C. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
You have to craft it. Great companies are crafted.
Like
they
craft
either
cheese?
happen, like, that's with a K. That's a completely different, and I don't know what craft cheese
I just
has
thought
to do
about
with
cheese,
it.
and I don't know. I was like thinking about spreading and crafting cheese.
Okay, cut. No, I'm just joking. By the way, I'm waving at our fantastic, awesome producer. We don't have a camera for you, but we got to get it. We got to get a camera. And what? Oh, there she is.
We do have a
Okay,
camera.
hey, so I've got a question for Elise because I'm trying to remember what's our producer's name.
Sarah.
There's
I
so
love
many
it.
Sarahs at Realty's PR. You just decided to call her Sarah. What's her real name?
Sarah.
It's okay. It's Ina. She's Portuguese, but guess what everybody calls her in America because this is the
Feel
country
free to
that
chime
we live
in with your comments if you think that Daren pronounced her name wrong,
It's
and if you think I should call her Sarah.
look okay. Here's what everybody calls her. They call her Anna. Why? Because people come to this country and they just give up. They're like, Americans are, Ina, that's too difficult. I just don't, I can't get that right.
It's okay. I had a waiter once. His name was Ahmed, but everybody called him Bob. And I'm like, well, that's not your real name. He said it was just easier. I couldn't stand the.
So, by the way, she reminded us from last episode that we need to mention the movie we were talking about
With the computers,
NASA
the IBM.
was Hidden Figures.
Hidden Figures.
The
Great
African
watch.
American women who came to work, which was unheard of in that kind of position at the day, but really put the man on the moon. I mean, they were a big part of that. So at any rate, okay, I lost track completely where
Lost
we went.
track.
Oh, wait.
Where were we?
So company culture happens
We're
by
crafting.
default.
We're crafting it.
Or it happens by design.
That's where we are.
Designed cultures are the ones that you put together on purpose. Everybody has a hand in, and you really create what you want to have. We were talking with a business leader yesterday, doing a great interview. Can't wait to share it with you through the Global Company Culture Association. But he said they worked 3 years on crafting. Was it 3 or 2? It was a long time. On crafting just a one-page document that captured the essence of the kind of company they wanted to be. So you need to pay some attention to it.
Cabbage, the company Cabbage, the chief people officer, she said that you have to take the time to truly understand your values before you put those, impose those values on your people.
Right.
And that is 3 years of work. And sometimes it's 10 years of work. And if it's a battle worth fighting, it's a time worth taking.
And by the way, I don't think they should be imposed anyway. I think they ought to be made up within that environment. Because
I agree. Impose is
we'll get into this on another show. Maybe we'll have Stan on the show as a guest, Stan Slap. We've got a great, you can go watch that episode on the association site. But Stan has a very interesting take that I think there's a lot of truth to,
Yes.
which is the culture is not something you create or control, it's there. So I do believe that you can take what's there and help build something really amazing out of it.
It happens either by intent or not, but it's going to happen.
It's going to
you
happen.
need to-
And it's either a culture that is raging against the machine and saying, we're not going to do what you tell us to do,
Right.
I think culture is basically the pervasive beliefs and attitudes, beliefs, feelings, and attitudes that permeate a company and the actions that result from them. It's
I
the
love
beliefs.
that. I love that. That's a great definition of company
It's the
culture.
beliefs. It's the feelings and the attitudes that permeate a company culture, right? And the actions they produce, because actions are produced by what you believe. If I believe people aren't trustworthy in this company, then how do I act? I hold back. I don't share information. I don't say what's really on my mind, right?
Right.
If I believe this is a good, trustworthy, safe place, and not only that, but the company celebrates, they want my input, whether they agree with it or not, how am I going to act? I'm going to share information. I'm going to do these things, right?
Right.
So culture's just really not that hard. Treat people well, and guess what?
It's logic. It's just logic. I mean,
Well, what was Herb Keller?
even if you do it in a family, all right? If you want to know why nobody wants to play Monopoly at your family gathering, yeah, ask them. And it seems like the most logical thing, but nobody, the leaders so often like say, okay, we're going to get together, we're going to get Netflix's deck and we're going to copy them. Let's go. Give them some scooters and move on. Instead of saying, let's ask our employees what they want. Let's ask them what they believe. Let's ask them if we should be recycling. Let's say that we love the planet. Let's see if they want to go on an outing. Ask them and listen.
So you raise a great example, but if we say, hey, we love the planet and we're out to save the world, right? And you don't have a recycling program at your company.
Right, there you go.
It's probably not legitimate. It's not going to be viewed that by people. Okay, so you have to craft it. We won't get into this because I think we should do a whole episode on it. But I talk about...
I think we should do a whole episode on each one of those.
Okay, I'm in for that.
Yeah.
So we talk about, though, you need a strong first name and a strong last name. Those are two different things. The last name being the collective group, that we're a part of something. We're a part of something bigger. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that. And then you get into first name. First name is individuality, that I'm actually... able to bring my best self. I'm growing as a person. I actually said in the keynote that individuals want to be growing.
Yes.
They want to be developing.
Yes.
Right? They want.
But beyond their work, I might, if I'm in accounting, maybe one day I want to move into marketing, and you should be helping me with my goals, whether they're, whether you want to keep me in accounting or you wish you should help me with my goals, not
right. Exactly. And just help me grow and develop as a person in general. So we've got a great opportunity coming up. I'm so excited about this. First of all, we get to walk across the street to go do this because their Dallas headquarters are right across from where we live, right? But Saatchi.
Oh, what an honor that they've asked us
they've
to
invited
them.
us to come and address them, and going to spend some time with them. We're actually going to do an interview with them as well. But Saatchi, just another iconic, we talked about the Riches Group, another iconic just agency that is really global. They've got offices all over the world. And excited about that. Oh. And the reason I'm going to do that is because they started, implemented a speaker series.
Oh, that's
and it doesn't have anything to do with what they do with their job, or does it? It has to do with, hey, we want our people to have opportunities to learn, develop, hear new ideas.
At D Magazine, we brought in someone to talk to us about the Dallas economy. I mean, that it doesn't have a lot to do with our job, but it's just fascinating because we're going to know our city, right?
Hey, so why are companies not offering lessons in Mandarin or lessons in calculus? I don't know.
A lot of times, though,
world history.
A lot of times, though, it's budgetary. But if you have like a really tight budget, what we did, for example, is we got one of those online learning things where they have like the 2-hour video or the 1-hour video, 30 minutes on how to use Google Drive. And we got one subscription, and then we put it on the big screen in the conference room. We scheduled those once a week so people could just show up and learn about Google Drive.
Look, I've always recommended.
Right? How cheap is that?
And you've got people who are Excel experts that could teach it.
Yes, we had.
You've got people that were American literature or literature, degrees that could teach it.
You have staff members who are belly dancing experts who can hold a class when you move the conference tables out. It would be fun. I mean, everything. Look around you. People have skills you don't use at all. Why not let them share it with their teammates?
It's a long story, but you actually were trained in belly dancing. Maybe, probably not.
We'll
see that happen on the show. Okay, so first name, last name, you need both. You need a strong connection. You need a strong first name, okay? The third C is you have to cast it. You got to get the right people. It's been said, get the right people on the bus. That's good to great, right? But you got to make sure that you're matching people with what you're trying to accomplish as a company. And by the way, more companies need to hire not for fit. Oh, they'll fit in well, but maybe for disruption.
Personality.
Hey, yeah, hire for personality, hire for attitude, hire for skill set. Bring something new into the company, because the more diverse you are, the stronger you're going to be in this new global world that we're living in. And then the last thing, you got to cultivate it. It's like anything else, a garden, a plant. I've got these, man, if you're an orchid expert, reach out to me, help me. We've got these orchids that do really well, but they do well and then they kind of go away, and I keep trying to nurse them. You got to cultivate it, okay?
Maybe you're not talking to them enough and asking them what they need.
I do try to talk to them. So watch this quick video on architecting a company culture. Just like architecting a building for maximum efficiency, you can architect a specific and defined company culture for maximum engagement, performance, and profitability. So what exactly is culture? Here's how I define culture in my upcoming book, Architecting a Company of Owners. Culture is the prevailing values, behaviors, systems, and language that permeate an organization. Great company cultures do things like address belonging. People feel like they're a part of a company, of an experience. They maximize engagement. Great company cultures propel performance. They ignite the spirit. They produce outcomes, not activity. They are challenging and fun. Epigenetics. A recent discovery in science was made in the laboratory where they discovered that you could take the same stem cell with the same DNA and yet put it in 3 different petri dishes with different ingredients in the petri dish. Some of those cells turned into skin, some of those cells turned into bone, and some of those cells turned into muscle. The same exact DNA and the same stem cell, when put in a different environment, produced very different outcomes. Now think about your people. Someone who is a low performer at one company might, if they're put in the right environment with the right company culture, turn into one of the highest performing employees. I've seen it happen time and time again. Is your culture a performance incubator or is it a performance deflator? Think about that. Boom!
I love that video.
Guess who made that video?
Oh, who made it?
The great Elise Martin. So, we really want to see, the whole reason we launched the association, the Global Company Culture Association, is because we want to drive an evolution at work.
Because every culture that gets better means that the world of work gets better.
And every culture that gets better,
I want to help.
That's one more person that loves going to work.
Right?
That's
gets
one more
off
person
of work. Yeah,
goes home joyful with stories.
We're seriously going to change the world. It's like recycling. If we were like the Association for Recycling and we're encouraging the world to recycle, what? Right?
You got
Don't
my
think
brain
about it.
going.
You're not going to.
No. We're not going to go there. We're not going to get on that. I've read 2 really powerful books in the last year that are have really ignited my thoughts around that. I'll just mention them. But Ishmael, if you haven't read Ishmael, strongly recommend it.
Great book.
And then the other one is called The Overseer. I'm only halfway through that. You got to read it when I'm done. It's all about trees, but fascinating read. So, but I think there's a lot of crossover between how you treat the environment and then how people treat the environment at work. You're either a caretaker of it, you're either a nurturer of it, or you're just throwing crap everywhere and, just mucking the whole thing up, right?
You're reminding me of something, but I can't remember. It's like there was a guy, was it Henry Ford, who if he saw you put salt on your food when he took you to lunch, he wouldn't hire you.
Yes, I'm not sure what that really has to do with anything.
No, it's just like when you're hiring, we'll probably do an episode on hiring. But
yes, we'll definitely do an episode on hiring.
The way the people treat the environment or treat the people around them really plays a role.
The litmus test.
Sorry, I'm just thinking.
I think that's kind of a side, because look, if someone wants to put salt on the food, let them put salt on the food.
I know.
But so at any rate, if you want a great
track.
culture, you got to create it, you got to architect it, you got to make it happen, and hopefully that's what you're committed to as a leader. If you're not, why not? And if you're committed to it, the best thing you can do is surround yourself with like-minded people who also want to drive that evolution at work.
Oh yeah.
I'm telling you, I got on the computer. Mm-hmm. I got on the Zoom. I got on Zoom the other day and had a interview with the guy from India, And we were fast friends because the message he's preaching over there and the message we're preaching here, we're trying to solve the same thing.
Yeah.
So get with, and he said this a couple of times, which really encouraged me. He said, this has been so encouraging. And that's part of the message and the goal of the Global Company Culture Association. Bring people together. Let's share. Let's resource share. Let's crowd share. Cool stuff. I love the next practices, not best practices, because there aren't, unfortunately, a lot of those. But let's get everybody together. Let's get the tools, the resources, the research that can point that out. We just started something called Company Culture Curated, that members get the benefit of, and it's a little summary of here's what's going on in the world of culture. So give us one of those from that was in the first episode of that.
Oh well, we had. In the first one that went out, it was a really interesting article about the pressure New York Times is putting on Google. So imagine that Google always used to be a say what you want culture, right? We know this from I'm sure eventually we'll tell the story of how AdWords got to be where it is. But they used to be a say what you want culture, they're very it's normal for them to play basketball and call names and now they're being...
It was actually hockey, but it's okay.
And now
Let's
there's a
not
lot of
the sports.
pressure being put on them. So now they've issued guidelines that if a conversation is considered disruptive, they will intervene, in between two employees or a group of employees. But they didn't define what disruptive means. And then they also banned name calling. So if you're on the basketball court, you can't say, you suck. So it's interesting to see how smaller... things that were good for Google when they were small are not scaling. And a lot of companies think that our culture was perfect when we were little, but now we're bigger, and why doesn't it still work? We loved it that way, but you have to remember that you're bigger now. And, the piece of cloth that covered the small circle table will not probably cover a giant, square table.
So I do think that that the times are changing, and there's a lot that needs to shift with that. And I know people get, oh, it's PC, it's this. I'm sorry, there's some stuff that's been going on for a long time that just shouldn't be a part of an evolved society, okay? We were at an event the other night, and, I was hearing some horror stories about what had happened to this college kid who basically was hazed as a part of a fraternity, got hit in the head with a baseball bat, and was out for 8 hours.
That's terrible.
Okay. Well, that on a
is he okay?
He is, but he's not, and that's an unfolding story. In fact, he's the son of a former Dallas Cowboy, and I don't want to mention the name yet, although that story's out there. But we may just have to have that whole family on the show and talk about that culture of hazing. Because that happens in companies as well, unfortunately, with the name calling and all. But just one little example, we've got some great stories, some other things, little video clips and all that. You get all that when you join, become a member of the Global Company Culture Association. And in fact, if you join within the next whatever bit, we're going to give you a special perk because we are new, getting started. You get $100 off of the membership by using code CharterMember. Just go in like you're checking out, put in Charter Member, and it'll automatically take $100 off of your membership. We'd love to have you be a part. There's a lot of tools and resources and stuff you'll find. So,
what else?
Episode 2.
Episode 2. Oh wait, we didn't talk about what we did on Real Talk this week.
Oh yes, okay. So I went all the way to New York City. And I had the privilege of interviewing a man who started 7 companies. I mean, very successful companies.
Wow, he must be exhausted.
He's going strong. Trust me. He's up in his 70s, but he's going absolutely strong. And he lives, by the way, on, I won't give the number. We won't put that out there. Right on Park Avenue, across from the park.
Wow,
right?
wow.
Great little place. So he must have done something right. But great interview. He's on Inc. magazine, regular contributor. He's got a thing called Street Smarts. Is that the name of it?
I don't know.
We'll check that out.
Aaron
But
Brodsky?
Watch this video clip with the great Norm Brodsky.
I don't know.
I am so excited about being here with Norm Brodsky. Norm is a business tycoon. He has started 7 businesses. He's a regular columnist for Inc. magazine. Norm, thank you for making the time to
Thank you for having me on your show. This is great.
And company culture has been around for a long time, but it hasn't been in the area of focus that it is. How important is just the way that people operate?
I was introduced to company culture by my wife, believe it or not.
I love it.
My wife was the culture queen of the company, and it became the driving force within our business. It said, I got to treat my employees from a different respect. They're the reason that I'm able to make money. I mean, they're the reason that the business existed. Can't we make this a great place to work? Can't we make it fun? Can't we make it that these people want to do the best job that they can
Absolutely.
do? And I think a good culture does that. Made them better as people, and think about this. They love to come to work. We did all these practical things that showed that we cared for them. So when you care for a person, they care for you.
So you can see that full interview with Norm Brodsky on Global Company Culture Association. It's in a thing called Real Talk. By the way, I'm going to go back to New York and I'm going to interview his wife, Elaine, who he credits with being the real genius behind helping him starting to think about culture. So let's go straight to the source.
The woman behind the man.
Yep, absolutely. So
Sounds familiar.
but we're doing a lot of those kind of interviews. We've got some really great ones coming up with people from. Ultimately, we're going to be interviewing people all over the world, and excited about that as just another part of the benefit, but the real value of being a part of this evolution at work that we're joining, that we're asking to join, and that we're really driving through the Global Company
So
Culture
don't forget to
Association.
join so you don't miss a single episode of Real Talk, because we're going to be talking really talking
It's going to be
to leaders and people in the culture space.
real talk.
Yes, real talk, real conversations. I'm sick of the photoshopped, look, our culture is good. I was
Yeah.
like, no, let's just talk about it. Let's talk about this.
And learn from people. And at some point, by the way, we want to talk about people who feel like they don't have a great culture and why. What's broken, how they can fix it. So
we can't fix it if we don't call it by the right name, Daren.
okay, that's a wrap.
Wrap.
Episode 2 of the Global Company Culture
You doing the
Association
competition?
sponsored Company Culture Podcast. Oh, yes. Okay. So we want to hear from you. Reach out to us at info@Global Company Culture Association. You got to spell all the words right. I know that's a mouthful. .com. And we have a little trivia question. What is in Elise Martin's coffee mug? If you can email us and guess what is in Elise Martin's coffee mug, and it's got to be very specific, okay? You got to say what it is and be as specific as you can. Get it right or ballparky, and we're going to send you a copy of A Company of Owners just as a little gift for that. So what is in the great Elise Martin's coffee mug? Okay, here's the other thing we want to hear from you. Guests you'd like to see us have. That's, the first 2 episodes have been just us, but we're going to start bringing people in, have guests. He doesn't know it yet. We're gonna
Leaders for Real Talk that you think we should be talking
Yeah,
to.
leaders, people we should be interviewing, icons, culture icons.
Let us know who you want to hear from.
Yeah.
And we definitely want your feedback.
Absolutely. So info@globalcompanycultureassociation.com. Let us hear from you.
And you can also reach out to us on Instagram, on social, on Facebook, on YouTube, and
Facebook, LinkedIn, we've got
here.
it all.
We're here for you.
We've got all the social. And I especially think our Instagram is really cool.
Ah.
So, all right.
Woo.
Cheers. We're out, and we'll see you at the next episode.